order filled.
Alright, what's good everyone? So in this video, I'm going to be covering how I made over $13,000 trading my 30-minute Power 3 model. As you guys have seen recently, I've been covering, quite a few of my 30-minute Power 3 trades that I've been taking recently. Pretty much, I just want to give you guys, more and more insight without giving you guys too much, direct info about my checklist and all that. I just want to give you guys more breakdowns, give you guys more insight on how I think about 30-minute Power 3, how I go about taking entries within them. So going to keep on doing this because it's a model that you guys most know me for. It's a model that is, personally my most successful model and all that. So now how to make $13,000? Well, simple. I had copy traded across 5 different Apex 250k PA accounts. As you can see, just over $2,600 per account. The leader account was a little bit more profitable, as on my initial entry off the CISD, I had accidentally not turned on my copy trader, and so I had to exit that, re-enter on all 5 accounts, and that's why the profits are a little bit different. And then at the end of the trade recording, you're going to see a little execution switch. It's simply because I had to switch accounts just to keep it clean. And yeah, here is the account report for today, 6/17/2025. Only trade today. And yeah, otherwise, first part of this video is just going to be the trade recording. After that, I'm going to break it down in depth, just like we have been doing in other videos. So hope you guys enjoy.
you from all
the things I've seen.
All right, hope you guys enjoyed the little recording. Now we're gonna get into what actually led up to the trade, why I took longs rather than taking shorts back here, what gave me my analysis and my draw on liquidity. So going into the morning, I posted to my group that overall I was bullish biased. Reason being, and we'll go back here and quickly clean up my chart. So within the sense of a daily power 3, well, what do we see? Well, in the sense of a daily power 3, and simply looking at daily power 3 alone, nothing else, going into the day, what were we presented with going into 9:30? Well, going into 9:30, we're presented with, okay, classic daily devil's mark, where we have no manipulation above opening price at the start of our daily power 3. So that immediately hinted for price seeking higher. What else supported longs? Well, in the sense of order flow, in the sense of higher time frame narrative, we can see very obviously that price is bullish here on the higher time frame, regardless of drawn liquidity externally. Higher time frame market structure is bullish, like we talked about in the most previous video, with price holding this down close order block, even though technically we are closing, past the main threshold of it. And actually technically we didn't close below, but we did open below. We're still holding this nonetheless. We're still holding this in the sense of higher time frame institutional order flow, just like ICT describes. We are holding that, and that is remaining bullish. So market structure alone is remaining bullish with a clear drawn liquidity higher at all-time highs. So market structure is bullish, and that is the first thing we have to look for going into the morning. So with bullish market structure presented, we're going to be looking for longs. Now we can see here that price had failed to reach EQ, and that is actually why price did end up selling off later in the day. But nonetheless, we can take note of the fact that ES had reached EQ, and same thing with YM. So at the time going into 9:30, I was anticipating that little cracking collation to hold. I was not thinking that price was going to end up coming back down. In fact, it didn't really matter to me, because regardless if we were going to come back down to EQ on NQ or not, we'd first anticipate price to run up the highs. Now, fear, why would we have to run up the highs right now? If we have not reached EQ on NQ, why would we have to run up the highs first? That's actually very simple. What do we understand about power 3? What do we understand about the end of the manipulation? So even if this daily devil's mark, did fit narrative of price and we were bearish, so it's like, or I guess if it didn't fit narrative of price and we were actually bearish, what would confirm price to seek lower? That would be SMT. And do you see any SMT at the highs on these charts within our daily power 3? Yes, here and here. However, that is not time-based. Reason being, it's not a significant time-based high. Now, not going to go any deeper than that, but in the most simple aspect, this little SMT here and here is not a time-based high, so it holds no value. And that's something a lot of you guys are going to get mixed up on if you do not understand proper time-based highs and lows. So you have to understand that to understand how to actually trade based off of market structure, understanding and filtering out which SMTs work and which SMTs do not work. So low day, this SMT here was valid. The SMT up here was invalid. So bullish higher time frame order flow, clear SMT at the low of the range, invalid SMT at the high of the range. We are going to be looking for longs going into the morning. Even if we are going to be bearish on this day, we would first have to run up and run out this high and form SMT there, even if we are going to be bearish on the day. And since not a single index has done that yet, we will be looking long up to there. So that was the game plan going into market open. Now, leading up to market open, we can see this is what we were presented with. We had data high and data low. Now, actually, let's go forward a few minutes up until right before 9:30. So right before 9:30, what do we see? Well, we see all three indices run out the data low, which is good. Cracking collation of the data high or low really does not matter to me. It's more or less there's a ton of liquidity built up there. Anyways, we run up the data low, we do not run up the data high. So initially going into 9:30, I was actually looking long here. I was looking for initial manipulation down to long. However, we did not get that. We immediately expanded at market open, running off the data high, no SMT at the highs to confirm lower prices. So game plan was still to look for longs. Now, issue was YM did actually end up running out that high, and we did actually end up forming SMT there. But nonetheless, due to the fact that this was, an SMT of equal strength, and our higher time frame market structure is bullish, I was able to, neglect that and still looked long. Just needed, the proper lower time frame cracking correlation, the right lower time frame SMT to support the current higher time frame SMT that we found at lower day. The reason to that is simply because of the expansion of market open. There was no initial manipulation, so our game plan was to look for some sort of SMT to form on the lower time frame to then validate longs. And what do we see here? Well, NQ aggressively manipulates back down, runs out the 9 AM low, or at least what was the current 9 AM low, and we form another valid time-based SMT, as we can see right here. Here, just for the sake of making it clean, we'll draw it out here and here, and same thing with YM. So then we get confirmed our lower time frame SMT. Now it's at this point where I have to make a very, very quick decision regarding how I want to enter. Well, like we just talked about in our previous video with, dropping down to a 15-second time frame, we have to have the right time frame alignment. Well, we see that again, we are able to validate a 15-minute time frame, as this type of SMT on the higher time frame validates a 15-minute, and if we just ignore that, the SMT I didn't initially mark out on the lower time frame, and we simply focus on this, well, what do we see? An SMT of the previous 15-minute low. This then validates us to drop down to a 1-minute time frame, and what do we see on the 1-minute time frame? Well, exact same thing right here and here. That then validates me to drop down to a 15-second, because normally I would just stay on the 1 minute, be able to be fine with 1 minute CISD. However, our 1 minute CISD is currently 43 points away from where current market price is, and that's very close to what was my original drawn liquidity. And if I were to wait all the way for 1 minute CISD right here, that would one, limit my risk reward significantly, as well as just put me in a much more high risk scenario because of how close we are to our drawn liquidity. So I was then able to validate a drop down to a 15-second based off what I showed you guys on the 15-minute and 1 minute right here, then drop down to a 15-second, and then simply enter off the next 15-second CISD, like we can see right here. That was my entry. Had entered on my 5 Apex PA accounts, and as you guys saw in the video, I was initially just going to TP1 at what ended up being my full TP. I was initially just going to TP everything there, or no, I was initially going to TP1 there and then leave a runner for the daily doubles mark, as you guys saw in the video. However, I'll kind of explain my thought process as why I adjusted my position as I did as price developed. So price developed, entered there, stop loss at the low, TP at the high, went break even at this swing high. No significant reason other than it's just an internal structure of liquidity. It's a significant ways away from where my entry was. It's like, if we are going to be bullish, there's no reason for us to end up coming back down here. So that was just my logic behind that. And well, I let it run from there. And it was as price was developing up here as to why I moved my full TP right here. So this retracement right here, pretty, in the most simple format, it scared me. I was scared in the sense of I didn't want to lose all the profit I was about to make. So I had made the decision, instead of being TP1 here, TP2 at the daily devils mark, I decided to just put everything at this high, because reason being is that it's like, okay, there's no SMT at the highs, but the fact that we just souped, or we just raided the 9 AM high, saw a significant retracement off of that and induced liquidity beneath the London high, or I guess the 2 AM high. This was the main reason. We induced liquidity right beneath the London high. So due to that, I was thinking, okay, if we're just going to induce liquidity right below it, good chance we are going to end up coming up and hitting my TP, but good chance is that we are actually going to reverse once we run out that high. But anyways, TP was hit there, and as we can see after that, my my educated guess ended up being correct. We actually did end up reversing off of that inducement. So we induced liquidity initially right here, induced liquidity right there, significant retracement, ended up coming back up, running at that high, and then eventually we did end up selling off. So, I'm very proud of the decision I made. That is not something that, I'd really be able to teach other people. That's mainly something you're going to learn from experience. It's in the most simple format. It's just the act of inducing liquidity right beneath a significant high. So this was a significant high, a time-based high. We induced liquidity below there initially, and that act of inducing made me want to get out. Because if we were going to be, super bullish and we were going to expand up to the pre-stay high, the daily devil's mark, if we were going to do that, we would have all the way back here, we would have immediately expanded past there. We would not have seen such a significant retracement right before running out that high. We would have seen price, rocket right past it. And that's, as simple as I can make it. If we were going to be bullish, we would have just, expanded, displaced right past it, shown no weakness here, but due to the fact that we were inducing liquidity right below it, really failing to have that energy to run past it, that's why I changed my TP. But other than that, that is everything for my trade. I don't think I missed anything. Aside from that, I'm not gonna do a daily market review on what happened after. That's what matters to me. All that matters is my position. But otherwise, there is another breakdown regarding my 30-minute Power 3 trade model. And yeah, if there's any questions, let me know. Again, like I talked about in my previous video regarding my free trial on my server, again, I share my model in depth. My model in depth. I teach you guys everything I use regarding QT. It's like, feel free to use it. Free trial, you can cancel anytime. I don't want to do a ton of promo with that, but yeah, just a heads up. Anyways, that's the video. Any comments, questions, concerns, leave them in the comment section below. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys all in the next video.